Hi. One herbal tea, please.
Which flavor?
Flavor? Jasmine?
Sorry, I meant for the boba.
The little spheres of tapioca and sugar?
The tea comes with boba.
Well, it doesn't, because I see the tea right there and I see the boba over there. So why don't we just not combine them? Yeah? So I'll take the tea without the covert diabetes delivery mechanism, please.
The system won't let me do that.
Okay. Yeah, no, fine. One boba, please. We'll call it a mental health day treat. Self-care, right? Isn't that what people call it whenever they need an excuse to do whatever the fuck they want?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, of course you don't. Of course you don't. One chewy sugar tea, please.
All right. You can scan the code.
Why?
Because the code takes you to the app.
That's 2 apps today. Yeah. Got apps for everything, Even though I'm already talking to the person that could just take my order right here, but I got to download an app, right? How about this? I have cash. You have tea. Why don't we just streamline things?
We don't take cash, though.
Yeah. How about cards? Take cards?
Yes.
Oh, great.
But there is a $10 minimum. There's no minimum on the app, though.
Sorry, it's not your fault. You didn't create the system. The system is just, it is what it is, and we're both victims here, so.
What?
Nothing. 2 boba teas, please.
Ahoy, tent pirates, plant parents, conscious consumers, and the morbidly curious. Welcome to Cultivation Conversation, a podcast for growers, by growers. Come chat with our hosts, Captain Autoflower, the Real Green Monster, and myself, Girl Go Grow. Grab a bouquet of your favorite flowers, apparatus of choice, and don't forget the fire while I tell you about the special companies that help keep this ship afloat. We are busy people, and we demand the best for our plants, so all 3 of us automate our grows with Autopots. Available in over 63 countries, gravity-powered Autopot systems rely on no pumps, no timers, and no power to operate. This plant-driven automated watering is so precise, it will reduce consumption of feed while increasing yield. An effective and efficient way to delegate a little responsibility. Let your plants feed themselves. Use code CC10 at autopot-usa.com. If quality is the name of your game, look no further than AC Infinity. AC Infinity's grow tents, lights, accessories, and ventilation systems offer reliability and affordability along with total environmental control. Use code CULTIVATION on acinfinity.com to save even more. Frass Valley produces the highest quality superworm frass. Naturally strengthen your plants and enhance their resistance to pests and disease. Use code CC10 at frassvalley.com. We are big fans of Mass Hydroponics. Whether you're a local in Massachusetts or accessing their full online catalog, they are your one-stop shop for all of your growing needs. Use code CC10 at mass-hydro.com.
What is going on, everybody out there in podcast land? What is going on?
Hello, my darlings.
I heard you coughing before I even got a word in, Monster. What you smoking on already, dude?
Is it anaphylaxis?
Prayer group.
Oh.
Yep.
All right. Shit, that sounds delicious, man. Well, you enjoy that, sir. Let us know, anything you notice while you're smoking that joint. Any deep thoughts that come to you?
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, what's up, everybody in the chat? Welcome. A podcast for growers by growers. Yada yada yada. Let's get we're right into what we're smoking on. What do you got tonight, G3 and
you
G3's
guys are on?
cat?
Thank you. Oh my God, you guys were on the wrong sides, and it was like tripping me out. Something awful. Thank you for fixing that. I appreciate it.
We're all good.
Yep. I got Purple Pantaranya from Alabrije. Yep. My tried and true dark lady.
How is that pronounced again?
Which one?
The one you're smoking on?
Purple Pantaranya.
Every time somebody says that, I think they're going to say purple panties. Is that just me?
Purple panties on you.
Yeah. So
You got them purple panties on you tonight,
tarantula.
G3.
Yep, apparently.
Okay.
Well, she is, you know, I know you shared her with me, and I gotta say, a particularly flavorful purple strain.
And she definitely got better with age. So.
Well, hell yeah.
Yeah. If anybody has her, I definitely recommend you pop her. She's a good one.
Yeah. Any of those Alabrijes are worth popping.
Wrong. Yeah.
No, you can. I ended up with, you know, just a little sneak peek into my tent. I ended up with 3 Alabrijes in my 5x5. I planned for 2, but just, you know, some came up, some didn't. The way things worked out, I got 2 of the Skywalker. Well, I'm calling them Skywalkers. They're like Star Crunch crossed with Dog Walker. I hear Alabrije himself is calling them like Cosmic Pulpado or something like that. Coming out in a future release.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, dude, he's got a name for all of them. I think like Pulpado is something like, it's like a octopus chicken.
Fuck.
Gosh.
Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I don't know.
I have his next one. Oh my gosh, it's a something cow. It's a wolf cow. Cow, wolf, cow. Which one's the adjective and which one's the noun? Are they both nouns?
Yeah, I have no idea. I think it's just Island of
Anyway,
Dr.
I have
Moreau
that as
type
his
shit.
next tester. I'm excited about it.
Nice.
His wolfie darling.
Yeah, he's always got something new popping out, coming up. So
He does good work.
he does.
Doesn't miss.
No, he really doesn't.
What about you, Cap? What you got in that pipe?
Well, tonight I'm enjoying some of my local skunk, which you know, we had Duke on. He talked to us about it, and you've heard me rave about it.
Yeah.
Let me give you a little like impartial party's opinion. My brother-in-law, who I gave a little jar of it to, and he came back a few days later and was just like, dude, this is the best weed I've ever smoked. Like, that you've given me, that I've gotten anywhere. I like this. It's tasty. It smokes great. It's got, you know, really good burning joints, like all of his check marks. And, you know, gotta say, it feels really fucking good to hear that. Really good. You know,
Yeah.
I don't share it that often, and when I do, it's like, yeah, to get that kind of response, I was like,
Growing is an art.
Take it.
To be an artist and receive accolades of such degree is, I mean, gosh, does anything match it?
well,
Because
just,
you think your stuff is beautiful and wonderful, for somebody else to go, oh my gosh, this work that you've put so much time and effort to, you're right, is beautiful and wonderful. That like hits so many boxes.
it did, G3, it really did. It, like, you know, I didn't want to, like, you know, between men, like, I didn't want to tear up on him. Like, thank you, man.
Oh my
feels-
gosh, you absolutely should.
You don't know how good that feels and how hard I work, and nobody
Normalize
appreciates.
emotion between men. Tell your buddies you love them.
I just gave him like one
Everybody
of
needs hugs.
those stoic nods of approval, like,
Ugh, you poor souls. God.
Have you seen that like it's like
Isn't
a
the
meme
loneliness crushing?
There's that funny one with like they see the guy standing there and his wife's like he clearly like showing her ass, and it's like, should I slap it? And then he does, and then like there's like a head nod from like 20 different guys. Like,
yeah. This is your ancestors like looking down on you, approving. Yeah. But yeah, my reminder, I guess, like every once in a while to share what you grow with someone who you think might appreciate it, and that one time that they really do, it's really gonna feel good. So, or I'm sure they always appreciate it, but like, you know, a comment like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm enjoying tonight, and just, you know, to remind you, it's got that je ne sais quoi type of quality. Like, I have no fucking idea what I like about it. I love it, and it's energizing weed.
Okay.
Gets me in a good headspace, like happy place, and yeah, no creeping paranoia whatsoever. Like, that's one of the cooler parts about it.
Who's that standing behind you?
Oh my God. That's just the old captain on the wall right there. Remember that guy?
All right, matey.
But yeah, here. Cheers to Duke and his local skunk.
Cheers, motherfucker.
Did we have something we came up with last time about that?
It's fucking hard, remember?
Yeah, that
I'm
was.
lucky I remember to put pants on
previous
when I
show.
was this
My
morning.
God.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen.
So, tonight, it is tea time, my friends.
I don't really like golf.
That's one way you could approach. Yeah, like that's one way to interpret tea time. We are not playing golf. No, sir.
Thank God.
Nor are we eating crimpets. There's a different type of tea time that we're about
or
to...
drinking that hot leaf water garbage.
That Lipton stuff that tastes like battery acid.
I do not like tea.
That black tea. Yeah, you're not a fan? You don't drink tea at all?
Not even a little bit. I had a terrible childhood tea experience. I was scarred for life.
Do you want to talk about it?
Not really. No,
Okay.
I was forced to drink like
God.
super stone cold tea by my best friend when I was really young, and now just the smell of any type of tea like rolls my stomach.
Ooh. Okay. We're not.
Yep.
I don't want to dredge up like repressed memories of really bad teas you've had, G3. But I will say,
I like it when you call them potions. That works.
There you go.
All right. Let's call them plant potions. That's what we're going with tonight, because that's kind of what they are.
The magic.
Shit.
I mean, they definitely like have a little bit of a witchcrafty vibe to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But so just a side note, I'm a big fan.
I won't get grossed out if you call them teas, though. Like, as a girl, I've gotten used to
You'd
it.
be like gagging. Like,
I have learned.
You three don't gag. I heard a gagging fucking.
I'm alright. I'm good.
So I love tea, and I love like a half and half, like an Arnold Palmer. That's
Oh,
like
hell
usually
yeah.
where I get it like a restaurant or something if I'm not drinking a beer. And it's fucking hard to get like served a proper like unsweetened tea to mix in with lemonade, make an Arnold Palmer. Like all these places, they give you like a sweetened tea, or they give you a brisk iced tea that comes out of the tap, or all this stuff. It's just like, how fucking hard is it to get a proper tea? You know?
Hard.
Sweet tea is
It's
Apparently.
an art. I mean, people
sorry.
have dedicated their lives to the study of it.
So that's a sweet tea. Sweet tea is a whole like cultural thing, Monster. Like,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I mean-
I probably just offended a lot of people, but like, it's just too much sugar for me, man. And I'm it's just like, I don't know. Like, no, it's got most people don't realize this. Most sweet teas have like 25% more sugar than soda.
they do. Dude, the McDonald's like sweet tea is it's basically twice the sugar content as any soda on their menu. It's
just
ridiculous.
Sugar water. That's just like slightly flavored.
That's the stuff that like Edgar drank in Men in Black.
I was just gonna say that was remember that dude in Men in Black? Sugar, water. I'm surprised you remembered his name because I had no clue.
I love
And his wife's like, "You don't look so good, Edgar."
I know Edgar, and that wasn't Edgar.
Oh, it's so fun, man.
I'm
gonna write that down right now. That's going to the beginning of the show. So yeah, no, it's tea time, man. It's tea time, and it's not time to be served like a weak half and half at a restaurant. Like we're going balls deep. We're making an actively aerated compost teas. Okay, you can be cool and use the synonym or the
Acronym.
fucking acronym for it, and that we call it the AACTs.
No, we don't.
I mean, nah, we really not on the streets. Like on the streets, no one really says
On the
that.
street.
On the street.
No,
I'm feeling wicked silly tonight.
You down with AACTs? You know me.
Oh shit.
So, guys, like, listen, if there's one like easy, organic, like little bit of witchcraft you can get into, okay? It's an art. It really is. A lot of people, like, there's some guidelines we're gonna give you, okay, to do this, but like, this is something we want to encourage experimentation and kind of like there's really a no wrong way to do it. A couple wrong ways. We're gonna give you those, but like really, if you get good
Pretty
stuff
hard
and
to
you,
fuck that shit up.
yeah, it's really hard to fuck up, guys. Gonna have to try hard to make a bad tea. Unlike the restaurant I was at last night. My God, I sent that thing back. I was like, I don't know what you made this half and half with, but it's not what I wanted.
I hope you didn't drink whatever they brought you after
It's beside
that.
the point.
Yeah, you ever seen Waiting?
I have, yeah. I have. I used to work in a restaurant. Come on, like, I mean, and I'm being facetious. I did not send back my iced tea. I did send back my burger that was overcooked and bland, but that's a whole separate thing, and I wasn't mean about it. I was just like, yo, come on, you know.
Do you know who the fuck I am?
Do better. Yeah, right? That it was like, come on now, I'm the Terp master. You're gonna give me this? But no. All right, so teas, guys, teas. Why do we brew compost teas? What is the purpose of them?
To try to multiply the beneficial bacteria in said tea. And
Yeah, in the compost, right? In the compost that you're using, like by brewing a tea and like feeding the microbes, all this action that's going on, like oxygenating it.
It's feeding the soil versus feeding the plant.
You're also extracting, whatever minerals or NPK might be in your compost, making it more readily available.
Absolutely. You gave me like 4 different things right there in a row. I would say, but like the primary reason that we make a tea is to multiply the amount of cultures, right? The amount of microorganisms per square centimeter of soil that you're going to have by like 1,000. I mean, quite literally, if you do this right, like it's going to take the microbes that are already in that compost and it's going to like make the population explode in a good way. Okay. So that's why we do it. But like we also can do it to create soil structure. It's one of the things it can do for your plants. It causes you to use less compost. Ultimately, if you can like concentrate it in this way and apply it, use less overall inputs. And yeah, I would say like one of the things you're going for too when you're doing it is that like it's going to increase your nutrient cycling. All the things, you know, you see with more microbes in your medium. Right?
See.
Capiche? With me so far?
See.
Cool. So let's start with the compost, guys. What are we like? What the fuck is compost? I hear people say it all the time. Like, really, what are we talking about? I mean, you can make compost right in your backyard. My neighbors had a compost pile, and they threw
it's
like
really easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
They threw food scraps in it, and like kitchen waste, and lots of different stuff. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like controlled decomposition. Really?
Yeah.
Good way to put it.
So now, like, I wouldn't go advising you to use like yard waste compost in doing this with your teas. I'm just giving you like, you know, what is compost? There's lots of different types, okay? Lots of different types. When we talk about our AACTs, for the vast majority of them, okay, people are just going to say the word compost, and what they mean is earthworm castings. The majority of us, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You can go ahead and like make your own compost with like certain inputs and like, you know, make like a thermophilic compost, I think, where it has that like a heated type reaction and then cools down. It's like you can make compost out of manure, right?
Well,
like,
yeah, you can compost manure.
You can compost manure. Yeah. So like, and it's if you do, it's gonna heat and then cool down. Like, guys, I'm just saying, don't use that kind of compost if you're a beginner in this process. Don't make your own. Don't get it from your neighbor. Earthworm castings are what we want to go with. They're easy to acquire, like good quality ones at a grocery store, or, you know.
Yeah, and it may sound silly, but cleanliness really matters when it comes to compost. You know?
Oh, it does.
It really matters.
I actually use more compost than more times not than worm castings, because I have readily access to a good compost pile.
Gotcha.
I grab from that.
Yeah, I'm not telling you guys not to, right? Like it's a thing. Like
it just goes back to what we said at the beginning. There's really no wrong way to kind of do this. It's you know, use what's readily available to you.
I think. Yeah, oh, absolutely, man. And like, listen, if you think your neighbor has like a killer compost pile, like, go ahead and try it. Okay, one of the tips I'm going to say is like, if it's warm, if it's still undergoing that like thermophilic reaction and it's warm when you like touch it, if you pick it up like a pile of it and it's warm underneath, it's not ready yet. It's still like cooking. Okay, there might be some like pathogens in there that you don't want to like multiply, right? If it's already kind of undergone that process, like, then go ahead and use it. If it smells normal, not like rotten eggs or anything, like, fucking use it. Experiment.
Fuck, we're gonna find out.
There you go. But for like those of us who are trying this for the first time, for those of us who, you know, 99% of us are going to use earthworm castings for this. Just easy to get. And they're really one of the best inputs you can use for your garden, in my opinion.
And inexpensive.
Absolutely. And in this manner, we're gonna like. Oh my God! Hit the fucking mute button.
Oh my God!
I was just a little too.
Good Lord, son. No,
he was poor guy's dying, and he's screaming at him. The audacity for you to die on air. How dare you?
I apologize. I didn't mean to yell at you. Didn't mean to yell. Deep breath. We're all good. Everyone's breathing. Everyone has a pulse. Everyone's here. Cool. So, like, guys, just hear me out. Earthworm castings are one of the greatest inputs you can have. Find a good source of them. This is one thing, like, shit, if your neighbor's got an earthworm bin and making earthworm castings, like, this is one thing, like, go ahead and use them. Like, you know, they're usually safe. Just like,
with consent, don't just go steal
scooping.
We do not give you permission for a casting theft.
You always have earthworm casting consent. But maybe it's a good question to ask, like, yo, what are you feeding these earthworms? And, like, what kind of bedding are they on? All that kind of shit, right? But, like, if you buy them from a store, it's going to be good stuff, right? Earthworm castings get, like, the 5-star seal of approval from Captain here. Like, if there's one ingredient you shouldn't run out of, if you're an organic grower, it's that, okay? So, we have our earthworm castings. What do we need now? What are the, like, tools that we need, Monster?
So, I see most people usually tend to gravitate towards, like, a air pump with tubing and like an air stone. Or I've seen some of these fancy tea contraption brewers that you connect a air hose to, and it somehow pumps the water up and kind of like chugs it down the barrel. I think it's kind of an archaic way to do it. I like water pumps. Just kind of run some tubing up and down and have it waterfall right back in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a much more steady stream that's going to give you more oxygen in the water, because most people don't realize this. With the bubbles that are pumping air into the water, that's not giving you oxygen. It's when the bubbles break the surface tension of the water and air is able to come in that way. So you break way more surface tension of the water with a waterfall than you will with an air pump. And it's a lot less noisy, less splashing, you know, and more effective, in my opinion.
Agreed, man. What you mean, like for a waterfall effect, than just like
so you just take a regular submersible pump, like one you'd put in your reservoir, and you just have the tubing come up, over, and down. One of our members in the Discord posted about it today because he was asking me, and it's just real simple to do, you know. Cool. Just a submersible pump and some tubing, and you can even put like a shutoff valve on it if you want. Do all sorts of shit.
And that's just to take the water like from the bottom and put it at the top, right? It's just to get like a cyclical kind of action.
Just to get some flow going, you know?
Now, of course, making me giggle here, Nerd Grows, he says, the worm castings couch. Of course, man. You funny motherfucker. Is that when you like ask your neighbor what kind of like, that's like when you start with the interviews before you go ahead and just swipe them? You're asking a couple questions on camera about what kind of inputs go in there. Yeah, that could be an episode title for sure, man. But yeah, quick plug for his Nerd Grows podcast. Go check it out. Same place you found this one. So yeah, we got our pump, right? Like a little like a pump you can get at like a pet store.
Yeah,
an aquarium store. It's the same pump, like little
submersible water pump.
Submersible water pump, some tubing. Okay, we got a 5-gallon bucket. Okay, now we need like some cheesecloth or pantyhose.
Yeah, pantyhose work good. I use Autopot Aqua. What are they called? Not Aqua. The tube pot socks. I use those.
Wait, what do you use? The pot socks?
Yeah. The big round pot socks. They sent me some ones with drawstrings on them a while back.
Ones that have the copper in them?
Yeah.
Is that? Oh.
Yeah.
Really? Because they're, I mean, they are porous.
It's just what I had available.
They're that quickly permeable? I mean, water can move through them quickly?
Think about it. They're designed to go underneath the autopots where the
but like there's some, because they're submerged, there's time for relative osmosis to occur if it's a less permeable membrane. But if it's like, if you're sucking water through it, that's more permeable than I thought it was.
No, you just I usually just tie it like in a knot, or even sometimes just kind of ball it up and zip tie it and just throw it in like a tea bag.
Huh.
I'll show you a tea bag.
I bet you will.
So there's a lot of things we can use to accomplish this, guys. You know, like think.
Yeah, I saw somebody a sock. A sock would work.
Yep.
Really.
I mean, quite literally,
sock.
think about what a tea bag is. It's just like a permeable membrane that we're like extracting stuff from, you know, this like solid kind of stuff into water.
My favorite is the pantyhose, but my wife bitched about me stealing them from her. And I'm not going to go to the store and buy them. So,
why? They're self-checkout.
Yeah, but you're right on camera checking out.
Yeah, there's someone watching you do it. Just,
Do you think anybody's watching those cameras?
That's just going to get out. And they're going to see Monster buying pantyhose. And next thing you know, there's going to be rumors.
They ain't watching. It's just a social experiment.
Shit?
Self-checkouts are just a big social experiment, I'm telling you. Like, there's no actual enforcement on that shit.
Well, especially in California. Just fucking where you are. Scan, have 7 items, scan 5, walk out with 2.
Yeah, I am
not sure. You don't even have to. How about Amazon?
What do you mean?
Yeah, I guess I could do that.
Get your pantyhose off Amazon.
We're still back.
Next thing you know,
closet
getting fucking pantyhose ads and fucking.
See, that'll really fuck up my algorithm, G3.
Yeah,
if I go and search for pantyhose one time.
Yeah.
Ask your wife to order them for you if you're such a pussy. Jesus Christ.
You know what kind of chaos comes from the algo? Just one bad search and you're fucked for weeks.
Yep.
But no, for real, guys, don't be a pussy. Buy some pantyhose, or really don't want to nut up and buy some pantyhose for this. Grab a dress sock. I'm sure you have an old dress sock you haven't worn.
Just wash it, rinse it out well. Make sure you get all the laundry stuff out of it.
Just extra microbes, man.
Yeah, don't grab the one under your fucking bed.
The crusty one.
Yeah.
Don't grab the crusty dress sock for this. Definitely not. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to accomplish the extraction part. Okay.
There's a cut.
I know we always end up getting a compilation. You know, if he has time, I don't never like to put it on his shoulders, man. It's if he feels inspired and he has time, we usually get something funny. But so, guys, we got our compost, we got our ingredients. We filled up our bucket with water. Maybe not all the way, maybe like 4 gallons, 3.5, 4 gallons worth. Okay. We have put earthworm castings in some pantyhose that you've acquired. Okay. What else are we going to put in the pantyhose?
Yeah, it all depends on what I have around. I usually like a little bit of powdered kelp.
It's a great ingredient for a tea.
A little bit of powdered kelp. Sometimes I have, I know we were talking about this. I know you said you don't do this, but I have a bag of mycorrhiza and trichoderma. I'll put a little pinch in there just to get things started. I'm glad you mentioned that, man. I touch of molasses.
All right, so you threw a lot at me. Holy shit! Right. So
that's usually what I'm throwing in there.
Let's start with the molasses. Okay. First and foremost, I do want to mention, that is a key ingredient in any tea that you make. Okay, we need to make a tea, you need a couple basic things. Okay, that is compost, water, oxygen, and a food source for those microbes. In this case, we're using unsulfured blackstrap molasses. Right?
I usually throw a little bit of frass in there as well.
Abso-fucking-lutely, dude.
One thing I should mention, though, and especially for you organic growers, alfalfa has been proven to be a better food source for microbes than molasses.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I'm glad you did. So
and the reason I say organic, guys, because you guys usually have that shit on hand. Or a lot of you do.
A lot of us do, man. Let's back up a little bit.
Yep.
Let's back up just a little bit. I do want sound of a truck in reverse. So to make a tea, all you need again is earthworm castings, water, a food source for the microbes, in this case unsulfured blackstrap molasses, a bucket, and an air pump, right? Like that. And if you have all of these things, you can make your compost tea. That is all you fucking need, and you will multiply those microbes that live in the compost by like 1,000, by 10,000, by maybe more, by 1,000,000. I don't know. In some logarithmical, is that a term? Logarithmical? You know, like very, it'll go up a whole lot. Big line go up on graph.
Yeah.
Like that, right? So that's all you need. All the other stuff we're going to mention, okay, is optional. You can make teas for different purposes. Like if you're in veg, you want to make one that's kind of tailored for veg. You know, maybe you want to like use kelp and stuff like that. A little more nitrogen. When you're in flour, we can tailor one for flour and use more P's and K's and kind of microbes that will unlock that stuff, right, in our teas. Okay? Capiche? Capiche? Right? See? Yes, I just want everyone to be, you know, like, there's a lot of ways to do this. A lot of different recipes for teas, okay? However, if you have those basic things, you can hit go and make a tea, and it will benefit the shit out of your plants, okay?
One thing before we forget to mention it, though, you don't want to brew that shit more than 24 hours. Just as a good rule of thumb.
I'll say 36, but like, why do you say 24?
Just because you can invite more anaerobic bacteria, and there's been some studies that show that some anaerobic bacteria is actually good for the soil and good for your plants, but I don't want to take that chance. 24 hours, 36, I don't think is a stretch to push it, but much more than that, I don't think you're doing any good at that point.
Agreed. You know, at some point, like, you know, you've extracted all the microbes, they are multiplying. If they don't A, have food, and B, oxygen, like, they're gonna not thrive in that tea, and they're not gonna multiply, and it might end up like, if you don't have enough oxygen and you brew it too long, you might end up with like an anaerobic type of bacteria taking over, which will smell like rotten eggs. Okay, if you ever get that, okay, do not hit the start button. Like, do not put that in your plants. Like, throw that shit out. Okay, don't even put it in your backyard. It might kill your grass. Like, just, you know, do like cousin Eddie. Like, shitter was full. Good morning.
One of the best scenes ever.
Right. So don't use it if it smells, right, guys? But do this right, and it won't. You know, definitely don't overbrew it. Okay. But I do also want to mention too, like Monsta said, okay, the food source matters. The molasses is a good starting point, but that is essentially junk food for the microbes. Okay, like they eat that and they like go nuts, and it's like it's a real quick turnaround. But like, yeah, you're not going to want to overbrew a tea if you use molasses. However, if you use a more complex food source like alfalfa meal, okay, like rock phosphate, like basically any organic mineral or fertilizer is a microbe food source and is way more complex than just like the simple sugars that you can give to the microbes, okay? But like,
and if you are a benevolent God, your tiny little microbes will build you beautiful shrines in your honor.
They will. Yes, they will. Like, what were those things we ordered on in like catalogs? They were called like sea monkeys.
Oh shit!
I always imagined my sea monkeys were doing that.
Building you tiny monuments.
They think I'm their god.
Were you a benevolent god?
I really was. I was. I mean, I tried to
take care of
be.
your microbes. They'll take care of you.
That's right. We want happy microbes. And so like a different food source and different lengths of the brew will affect the type of microbe that exists, okay? Like the way I look at teas, okay, is kind of like a shotgun approach. What I think is the best approach is kind of like a multifaceted one. You put a lot of stuff in it, you make like a multi-purpose microbe tea, and then you let the plant determine by the exudates that the plant makes in the soil. Like the plants and the microbes like talk to each other, and the plant will like summon more of this type of microbe if that's what it wants. You know what I mean? Like if it needs more phosphorus, we need more phosphorus unlocking microbes, the plant's going to like send out the bat signal for those things. It's kind of how it works. So just a lot of different stuff in your teas, shotgun approach, I think is going to benefit you.
Absolutely. And I see a comment here. Somebody said that there's a lot of evidence to suggest that stirring is more efficient than aeration. That kind of goes back to what I was saying with a water pump. You're going to get way more water circulation in stirring than you would with an air pump, hands down. So I don't doubt that.
So
if you were to like set up a hand mixer to churn the top of your water, it would do the same type of thing, right?
Yeah,
but it wouldn't bring the stuff up from the bottom.
No. I still think a good old fashioned, submersible water pump, like something you have in your reservoir, is probably your best option. Unless I see some people, they like to do the teas where they don't use bags; they just throw it all in a fucking at the bottom of the bucket. I see a lot of people take that approach. That's where a pump might fail you. It's going to get clogged with like fucking mud, basically. But I don't see why. I don't like that approach. It's too messy. It's much easier just to use a fucking bag or some sort of vessel, to
agreed
in the bucket. But yeah, to each their own.
If you have a way that works for you when doing this, I mean, I'm not telling you.
I saw someone ask, do I put that in my reservoir? The answer is no. Mm-mm. I have secondary reservoirs that I use for teas because I don't want to be top watering, and I don't want to go through the trouble of actually like pouring it into each individual tray. So I just have a secondary reservoir, just a 5-gallon bucket, teed off, shut one res off, turn this one on, pour the tea in, let them suck that up in a couple hours, and then back to the normal res.
Definitely, man. So we're gonna get into the application of our tea. Absolutely. Let's keep that in mind. Okay. But we're still in the minds, like the theater of the mind of our audience out there. Like we're still making this thing. We're still like adding ingredients to it, aren't we? Like I think we can still list like a couple more things that we want to put in there. At least I do.
What else do you want in your teacup?
So, I mean, I think we mentioned specifically insect frass. One thing I always put in my teas, insect frass, and that's because that'll like invite more of a fungal dominant culture, which helps a lot with that like soil structure that I talked about. Like it's like a that kind of like webbing, the hyphae of the fungus.
Mycelium?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think it's also called hyphae in some botanical sense. I'm not crazy. Maybe I am. A little bit.
I think mycelium is made up of hyphae.
Okay. So that's a term, is what I mean. Whoa,
Yeah.
where'd you go, Monster?
I don't know.
Like that shit helps. It helps with soil structure. If you have like in auto pots, I think, oh my God, he's coming back. Like, especially you want like a well aerated medium, like, especially when you are applying water to it, it's important to keep the structure good. So I think a fungal dominant tea is very helpful. So like every other tea, I try to make like a fungal dominant one, and I'll add more insect frass to it, okay? And I will brew it longer.
How much longer?
Never more than 48 hours, but always more than like towards the end of the cycle. Like it's like 36 to 48 hours. Keep it in there a while. You get a more fungal dominant kind of tea. It just helps with, I think that's better for like the end or middle to end of flower. And yeah, it's a couple ways to do it. So like, yeah, insect frass, always huge for me. I also mentioned like organic nutrients. So if you have, whatever you guys use, I love that bud bread coming of age. I'll put a scoop of that stuff in there. At the end of the brew, that's key, okay? At the end of the brew, I will add, like any other microbe products that you want in there that you think might help it along. Like Monster said he puts some mycorrhizal?
Some generic mycorrhiza trichoderma blend from a company called Kelp for Less.
Cool. For sure, and definitely, like that will probably help me with my fungal dominant teas, that. But like at least in my best practices, okay, you always add that stuff at the end of the brew because it's not like you don't necessarily want that stuff to become like the dominant culture. Okay, you can apply that stuff anytime. What we want is to take the stuff in the compost and multiply it. Okay? Yeah, add some other microbials to it, but like do it at the end so it doesn't end up becoming like the one and only. Like dominate the other microbes and think like civilization in microbes, and like there just ends up being like the Borg. You don't want that. Know what I mean? Makes sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So, do we think we have like we got a little bit of a handle on how to make these things? Again, I want to encourage experimentation. There's no wrong way to eat a Reese's in this case. How do we use them?
How do we apply it?
Yeah, how do we apply it? What are we going to do? Like, I mean, definitely not putting it in my auto pot reservoir. That's one thing I'm fucking not.
I already heard what I do. How do you do it?
I like to top water them. I like to do like a soil drench, an undiluted soil drench, okay? First of all, I want to mention, as we're brewing, you're going to see foam on the top of the tea. That's a good thing. Okay? That means the microbes are multiplying. That's good. We want to see foam. If we stop seeing the foam, that means that they might have stopped multiplying. Maybe you have to add more food. Okay? Also, what do I want to mention? Oh, yeah. It stays good for like 24 hours after you're done. Use it right away.
Yeah, you don't want to leave that shit around after you're done brewing it.
No, don't put it in a pitcher and then put it in your refrigerator. And like, I always had a pitcher of iced tea in my fridge growing up at fucking grocery store, like concentrate mix. I'm sorry, G3. I don't mean to mention that I can see your face turn. But so yeah, guys, we got our tea. We're not putting in our auto pot reservoir or any kind of automatic watering situation because it'll create like a film, right? Residue, a film. We don't want that. I think
you're just asking for trouble, really. Like you're setting your future self up for failure. Don't do that to yourself. Just don't.
Just don't. Like, so for me, I'm turning my autopot reservoir off. I'm letting the soil dry back a bit, and then I'm watering in an undiluted amount of that tea. But more importantly, in most cases, okay, unless, I mean, I don't know when I really wouldn't. So in most cases, I'm taking a diluted version of that tea and using it as a foliar spray. I guess when I wouldn't is when the plant's in flower.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, you definitely want to dilute your foliar sprays. That's pretty smart. And I encourage people to actually check the EC of some of these teas because there's been cases where I've brewed strong ones and I've had to dilute it a little bit.
That's a great point. So let's talk about ECs a little bit.
EC, PPM, or however you want to slice it. The reason why you should want to lean more towards EC is because PPM, there's different scales. You have a 500 scale and a 700 scale. And basically, not to bore you, but the way they get to those numbers is converting a formula using EC. So just jump right to the fucking chase and use EC. Because, like, for instance, here in the States, I think we use the 500 scale, but in other parts of the world, they use the 700 scale. So that's quite a difference. If you give somebody a PPM number, they could get fucked up depending on what chart they look at, even here in the States.
Mm-hmm.
So EC is how I measure the strength of the newts going into my plants.
So do you have like a limit as to like?
If it's higher than 2 EC, I'll water it down.
Gotcha. And then
that would be like, that's pretty high in my opinion.
2 is still, pretty strong. So like that's your limit for a foliar application.
No, for foliar, I'd say a fourth of that, a quarter of that.
Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah. Way less for foliar.
So like 0.5.
Yeah, maybe even less. Like kind of like if it's, let's say I have let's just say I have a baseline of 2 EC for my tea, right? I'll take maybe 10% of that in a one liter spray bottle, and the rest is water. Foliar feeds, you can burn the plant real fucking quick if it's too strong, and I always am leery of that. So I go like a lot lighter on foliar feeds than probably most.
I think that's probably best practices, man. You always want to go on the lighter side for foliar application because it's like mainlining it,
Yeah, I mean, I in the past I had a real bad experience with the foliar feed. I burnt the shit on it, but it's just following the label. So I've always been kind of, I don't know, gun shy, I guess. And I love foliar feed. I'm a big advocate of it, but just in light dosage.
So even like any like off the shelf foliar product too will tell you to always test a leaf before you go and like spray your whole plant. Because foliar can get a little delicate, right? So like always err on the side of dilution. Less is more.
Yeah.
But like, I think you're going to get the most benefit, at least in, for my tea recipe, from like doing a nice kind of thorough soil drench and even letting some like come out the bottom of the auto pots and like letting that just reabsorb. Like, don't worry about it. Just water until like you see some runoff in the tray, and then like, let that reabsorb, then turn your system back on. Boom. Good to go.
Because you're feeding the soil and not the plant, do you care about pH?
That's another great question, G3. I'm glad you mentioned that because like, let's start at the water of the pH that we're using. I mean, yes is my answer. Absolutely. You always want to test your water.
You want to know what's funny?
What?
I don't test my pH of my teas at all.
Why
Never?
am I not remotely surprised?
Never.
Now, I guess I wouldn't, like, after it's done, man. I don't know. Like, I don't check for pH or ppms after it's done.
No, there's no consideration of pH for me at all when it comes to that shit. Maybe it should be, but I'm more concerned with the strength of it.
Yeah, you don't really care about absorption necessarily because you don't. It's not for the plant. The plant just happens to be there. It's for the soil.
Yeah.
But wouldn't a super high or a super low pH like shock the shit out of your plant?
It could.
It could. Now, like, I don't think, again, if you start with like a balanced water that's pH appropriate, I don't think we're going to get to that point where we're like way out of whack.
No, unless you have way too much compost in your water or too much worm castings. Or like if you go way too heavy on that, it's going to be high in EC and generally low in pH. And that could be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it could be if you use a little too much. Now, I guess, what's a rule of thumb? Like maybe a cup of compost per gallon of water?
I would say
maybe
even less
half
than
a
that.
cup of compost. Yeah, less.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm willy-nilly about it, but I don't know. Maybe I'd probably have to say a cup to a cup and a half per like whatever 5-gallon bucket I'm mixing like my compost in. If I had to guess.
Yeah, you don't need much.
No. Again, less is more approach here. You don't want to go crazy.
And for me, like I said, I don't really care about ppm or EC like after it's done either. Like you're gonna notice, even with like your organic feeds, like if you use the stuff that I use, like this kind of powderized organic formula, like after you mix up a batch of that shit, ppms are like over 4,000. You know what I mean? It's way up there. No matter what scale you're using, it's like you're thinking to yourself, like, I'm going to burn my plants. That's way too much. But it's not how it works with organics. It's a different scale. Like you can use a very heavily concentrated organic feed and be okay. I don't really know what the limit is because I haven't ever overdone it.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to do, man. Like I've talked about it before. I made a video on this last year. Like, oh, how much of this do you add? Doesn't fucking matter. Just do it,
That's so same, man.
Don't people tend to overthink.
Heart.
Yeah, measure with your heart. People overthink this shit, man. I'm here to tell you that growing weed is easy.
Measure with your heart.
If you just fucking pay attention to the detail and don't go crazy adding too many things, like I don't know, man. It's just this shit's easy. It really is. Don't try to rocket brain shit.
Yeah.
Don't overthink.
People have been using like teas for plants, not just cannabis, for a long, long time, and it's this is old school gardening. So, yeah, don't overthink it.
No.
But do experiment, and like if you have organic nutrients or minerals laying around, I mean, like there's all sorts of stuff you could put. Seabird guano in your teas, like we said, kelp meal, alfalfa meal, rock phosphate, fishbone meal.
Yeah, one thing I think I forgot to mention too that I do frequently is corn seed tea, corn sprout tea. There's also it's a sprout tea
or corn. Corn.
There's also it's a sprout teas and stuff that are beneficial.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right. So you kind of brought up a whole, like this is a whole other type of tea, would be like our sprouted seed teas, right? Now that's a different acronym, man. So on the streets, we call those SSTs.
Okay. Yeah, I failed my SST.
Yo, homie, you know the difference between AACTs and SSTs?
Is there a punchline?
Yeah, you know me. No, it's like blank looks from your homies.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, hey, yo, get this guy out of here. Who invited this guy? Does anybody know him? That's what you'd get. So, sprouted seed teas are something kind of a little different, man. Like, but I do want to, I guess, mention them real quick. I mean, that's like you're kind of getting enzymes from, like enzymes, amino acids, and I mean
growth hormones.
Yeah, growth hormones. Exactly.
Stem cells.
Absolutely, G3. Think of them like that. The thing that all the stuff that contained in a seed, okay, is what everything that plant needs to like grow for the first 2 weeks of its life. It's like that colostrum. You know what that is?
It's the mother's milk.
It's like the first like batch of it that they make. That like super dense nutrient food. Oh my God! I started thinking about colostrum, and now I have no idea what I was talking about.
It's a pre-titty milk.
Started talking about that real good titty milk.
Reminds me of that.
I can't think about anything else.
Reminds me of that video Joint posted with the women in the titty milk machine gun rocket. That was the last straw on one of his last IG accounts.
Oh yeah, that got him banned. So that made me remember. We were talking about the SSTs, guys, and you know, the enzymes, amino acids. It's all great stuff. It really is. And like, so interestingly enough, too. Okay, we always talk about the crossover between like brewing stuff and like organic growing.
Yep.
One more thing we can add to that list. Well, two more things. Now that we're talking about SSTs. Malted barley, the same stuff that they use to make beer, okay? The same, like, one of, like, the 4 ingredients in, like, a traditional beer. There's water, yeast, hops, and malted barley, okay? The same malted barley that goes in a beer is the same malted barley we can use to make an SST. It's the same like amino acids that like feed the yeast, okay, in the brewing process and like create this alcohol and like this fermentation process. It's just super interesting to me how much crossover there is. So like, and another thing I mentioned is the brewer's yeast. Okay, that stuff's been going in my soil lately. Re-amended soil. I've been putting straight up brewer's yeast in there.
Interesting.
Yeah, man. So like the thought process is, again, like nutrient cycling, just one more microbe. I think like there have been studies done on different crops and stuff that, you know, show increased vigor, all that kind of generic stuff they say when they, you know, it's like a good thing to put in plants. But like, most importantly, I think there is an increase in carbon dioxide in the root zone available to the plant itself. One of the byproducts, like in the brewing process, is yeast eats the sprouted sugar seed tea that you made for it, basically, the sugar that came from the SST. The yeast ate it, and it converted those sugars into carbon dioxide and alcohol. Okay? Now, I think like the alcohol part, I don't think is happening here. Or if it is, it's negligible. But I do think the CO2 is happening in amounts enough that like might help the plant.
I don't see why not.
Certainly couldn't hurt, I don't think.
I had a buddy ahead of his time years ago. He would take paintball canisters and inject them into his like little hydro plants that he had going.
Oh yeah.
And I used to tell him to do it. It's a waste of time. Like the plant roots can't utilize CO2. And we used to think that, but we got discovered years ago that the plants can utilize CO2 for their roots.
Yeah, dude, like in the same way that I forget which show it was, that we learned that like carbonated water would be like carbonated spring water is like the most ideal type of water to use to water your plants, right? Because they can use that.
It's wild.
Yeah, brewer's yeast and malted barley. Add them to the list of things that like directly cross over from like organic gardening to brewing. It's wild to me. Speaking of which, crack a frosty beer. Or was that a LaCroix?
Yeah, that's so weird. There's like a delay when I mute my mic. It takes a second for it to actually mute. I just discovered that. But no, that was basically a LaCroix. We have a local seltzer brand up here called Polar, and it's the shit. I love Polar seltzer.
Man, seltzers are tasty. I will say that.
Yeah, I mean, I drink a lot of seltzer.
Mm-hmm.
Seltzer. Right, so guys, teas are great for your plants. Like I think this is kind of like, at least for me, it was like my first step, kind of like not into like outside the sandbox of organics, but like into a larger sandbox of organics. This is like you're getting into a little bit of a like advanced approach here, but it's super fun. It's interesting and easy. It really is.
Plus, it's fun. Who doesn't like mixing up potions? Seriously,
it's fun. You can read some incantations and light some candles while you do
especially when you don't have to measure shit or think about it. Just a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and make a potion. Boom. Your plants will love it.
Yep, great use for moon water.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Now, are there any things like we specifically don't want to put in our teas? Like Eye of Newt?
I wouldn't put salt-based nutrients in there. That's kind of stupid.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. Like, what would be the purpose of that? Would be my question. Like, it's not really. Like, if anything, it would be like harming the microbe population that you've been trying to cultivate.
Yeah, there's just no point. You're going to get some NPK from either your worm castings or your compost, or a little bit of kelp, frass. You're going to get some kelp, of that anyway.
And if
you're missing the point if you're trying to get extra, like, if NPK shouldn't be your main goal here. It's the microbes, which will inherently work together with the NPK. But you get the point. That's not what you should be focusing on here.
Agreed.
You're missing the point.
Agreed. This is to diversify the microbial population, which in turn helps unlock those nutrients that are already in your medium that the plant just can't access.
I wouldn't go crazy with the molasses either. I've seen people do that. Like, literally, like, I take the spoon and I like let most of it drip out back into the jar, and then like I hang it over the bucket, and I couldn't even tell you how much. Just a little bit. You don't need a whole lot. Don't go crazy with that shit.
Yeah, word. So guys, again, like the key word is kind of experimentation here. Like, use those guidelines and kind of think a little bit outside the box. I mean, come up with a cool recipe. Like, if you have success with it and it works really well for you, like, let us know. Post about it in the Discord. Come hit me up on IG. Let me know of a cool tea ingredient you thought of. Like, hey, Captain, I put chamomile in my tea, and my plants like fell asleep way quicker when the lights went off. It was amazing.
Wouldn't that be some shit?
Lavender, and they were just like so relaxed. It was amazing.
Yeah. You don't want to put booze in there. either. Put him to sleep.
No. So G3, you don't even like that stuff, like the sleepy time chamomile lavender stuff?
What about
it's not just like the smell, it's also the, I don't want to say it's the consistency. It's the like, I don't know, like comparing coffee to tea. Okay, they're both water made by soaking something else in it when it's hot, right? But there's something about tea that just feels very thin and like too watery. I don't know, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I don't like anything about it.
what about a good like Arnold Palmer, like we were saying before the show?
No, because like I know that there's tea in it.
Okay.
And I can drink something, and then as soon as somebody calls it a tea, it turns it in my mind, and it's like all of a sudden associated with nastiness. It's a very strong aversion.
Okay.
Wow. So all right,
Now, are you also biased against like the rapper / actor known as Ice-T?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Just checking.
Not at all. I quite admire his work, in fact.
Great movie. One of my favorite movies of all time, Surviving the Game. Go check that out. Ice-T.
Wasn't he in like NCIS too?
He was in one of those shows.
He was in oh my
I forget
gosh.
what show it was.
Yes.
Why
can't I?
Yeah.
Law and Order, Criminal and Law and Order.
Yeah, I think it was Law and Order.
Victims Unit.
Yeah, SVU.
SVU.
That was it.
There you go.
Yeah, no, for sure. I admire the man's work too.
Yeah, he always had those funny punchlines.
Now that's a well brewed iced tea.
Oh, and see, even just saying that, I'm like, oh, God.
That's like shocking to me, G3, how much you dislike tea. Wow. I'm like, so
honestly, it's really kind of a pain in the ass, because you would be surprised how much iced tea is like one of your only solid drink options, and it's just not even an option for me. It's disappointing a little bit.
Yeah.
And like tea ceremonies are beautiful. I think teacups and teapots are lovely. I like the whole idea of it. It's just like tea itself is
What does your husband
horrid.
feel about this? As somebody from the UK.
He's British.
Yeah, like my wife despises tea.
Right. When it's tea time.
Yeah, I'll walk into a room and smell it and walk right back out of the room.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, we've taught you guys, I think, a thing or two about how to make some teas that won't make G3's nose turn up in the air.
Yeah. I approve of plant teas.
She'll be all right with these. Call them plant potions.
Yep.
And trust me, like, your plants are going to love these guys. I want to mention real quick too. There are kind of these products out there that are basically like an instant compost tea. You know, specifically Recharge. You know, I've used the stuff. It's wonderful. It's a great product. It kind of like gets you into this microbe game. You know, you start learning all about this stuff. Like, we're making our own Recharge now, guys. We're making a stronger, more diverse, fresher batch of Recharge. That's all this really is you're making your own now. You're not just getting like the pre-made shit from like the tub at the grocery store and making tea that way. We're starting with the leaves now. We're going to do it right. That's the difference. So, like, you know, people ask me, like, why go through the trouble when I could just use Recharge? I mean, my answer is because you're making better tea. Your plants are going to appreciate it.
Yeah, Recharge is a great product. It's one of the best all-in-one products out there because it has a full consortium of what you need, including the molasses and the kelp and some aminos. I'm a big fan of it, but it's
great.
It's not composty. It's different.
Why offer your plants wonder when you can offer them homemade sourdough?
Ding, ding, ding. There you go. Just, it's always better. The fresher's better, more diversity in your microbial population, all that stuff. But again, if for some reason you've been put off by making tea, if you had some traumatic childhood experience like G3 and you're just never going to do it, then go ahead.
Get over yourself.
buy some recharge. I endorse it. It's great stuff. But we're making our own now. So we don't need to use that in addition to our microbe tea. That's kind of that's like training wheels,
If you need a little push, there is a full moon this Friday.
Hell yeah. Get some moon water in that tea.
Get some moon water in your tea.
Yeah. Is it a certain type of moon? Get no, just a full one.
No.
Just more energy.
Yep.
Well, I love it. Yeah, guys. Again, let us know your recipes. If you have anything specific you use that you get a lot of good results from, let us know.
Make a video. Tag us. Show us how you do it. There's so many different ways to approach this. Just get out there and do it. That's the main thing you should take away from this. I think. Do it.
Absolutely. So yeah, what Up Dough Grow mentioned. Yeah, throw a little recharge in, like we said, at the end of your brew. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. It's good stuff. You can put it right in there.
Yeah. In the words of Ricky from Trailer Park Boys, it's not rocket surgery.
Not rocket surgery or brain science. Well, guys, again, I hope we've shed some light on one of the I don't know, it's not a dark corner of organics. This is, a lot of people talk about them. I just think we should make them even more accessible for people. Teas are great, and you should make them. Even synthetic guys, right, Monster?
Oh yeah, I do it all the time. That's the organics approach. Get that shit in there.
Fuck yeah. So yeah, guys. Real quick to wrap up. Hit us up on Discord, Instagram. Check us out on Patreon. Please help us run the show. And I don't know. I don't have much else. Join us next week. What do you guys have? What kind of goodbyes?
Go fuck yourself.
I knew that was coming.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
G3 just says, keep your damn teas away from me. And
go be good to your plants.
Yeah.
Show
Most importantly.
Yeah. Oh, that giveaway is finally going up. My apologies for it taking forever. My universe has kind of exploded in the last bit. However, it is going up tonight. There's going to be lots of ways to get different entries. I'm setting myself up for a lot of work, but that's okay. It's going to be worth it because we have really, really amazing prizes. So
we do.
Yeah, check it out. It's going to be on our Instagram. We'll have links and stuff over on our Discord. Instructions everywhere.
Patience is a virtue. And
yeah,
thank you, G3. Yeah, guys, we love y'all, and thank you for joining us. As always, your homework is to tell a friend about the podcast, and be good to your plants, and most importantly, don't get caught.